Hey folks, this is Mark and Bob coming at you from Fire Mountain Outdoors.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. We have in our inventory right now the modern sporting arms that even the liberal gun grabbers like. Stick around and we're going to talk all about it. Well, Bob, I have been a fan of the 7.62x39 cartridge ever since the first SKS I bought. Back in the day, I think it was during or just after the Clinton assault weapons ban, you could go buy an SKS for $79,
Yep.
and you could buy 1,000 rounds of ammo for $75.
Yeah.
$150, you could leave the gun store with a rifle and 1,000 rounds of ammo, and woo, that was good stuff. And I've shot a lot of 7.62x39 ammunition.
Yeah.
So I'm attracted to the round. I'm also a Ruger fan, and I like the stainless synthetic look. That black and silver looks kind of like an Exile motorcycle. I'm a big fan of those too. It's just really a good, attractive package. What appeals to you about this?
Well, today is the day that I can finally check off number 132 off of my bucket list.
What's that?
Firing a Mini 14 or Mini 30.
You've never shot a Mini 14 or a Mini 30?
I haven't. I've got several M1 Garands.
Yeah.
I've had M14s. And I've never had or shot a Mini 30 or a Mini 14. I don't know why that is. I mean, it's got the same receiver design, the same operating rod.
They're very similar.
You can, put in your extended magazine like on an M14. I don't know why I've never had one or never owned one. So this is bucket list number 132 for me. Check it off the list right now. I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited for you shooting it too. Let's load up a magazine and see what your first impressions are.
Sounds great. Now I'm noticing this magazine doesn't look like an AK mag. It doesn't look like an AR-15, kind of like an AR-15 mag, but it's not.
It's not. And you know what? I wish it was. If they made the Mini 30 take AR mags, it would be pretty cool. That is a huge drawback, really, to this rifle. If you were going to buy this and this was an AR mag, my price point for buying AR magazines new in the package, a 30 rounder, is right at $7.
Yeah.
That's what I like to pay. They're more than that a lot of times, but that's when they're on sale, $7. That's when I buy them.
Yep.
These aren't that.
Okay.
It's about 35 or 36 bucks.
Ooh.
5-6 times more expensive.
Right.
It's Ruger makes these. There are a couple of other outfits that make replacement mags for the Ruger, but that is a drawback to this. The magazines, just like any Ruger likes to get you on the magazines.
Right.
So I wish that they were more economical, but that is a downside to the Mini 14 or the Mini 30. The magazines are much more expensive.
Yeah, and I'm checking out this action on this, and the bolt just looks just like an M1 bolt. I mean, this is pretty freaking cool.
Now, Bob, you notice that I'm loading this up with some Golden Tiger. The beauty of a 7.6x32 or by 39 rifle is that there is a plethora of inexpensive ammunition.
Right.
It's not quite as inexpensive as 7.5 cents a round like back in the day.
No, but 20, 25 cents a round, you know, it's still a pretty darn affordable round to shoot.
If you shoot the steel case surplus stuff.
Yes.
That's known to be a problem with this firearm, and we're gonna see if that actually holds true. I think Ruger recommends that you shoot boxer primed brass ammo and not Berdan primed steel case ammo. So that really kind of diminishes the appeal. If this rifle won't digest this 100% reliably, it really kind of diminishes the appeal of why would you even get this and not an AK.
Right.
So let's go shoot it.
Okay. There we got it. I like the safety. It's very reminiscent of like an M1. Okay. First shot's fired. pretty nice. I like that. All right, Mark, you're up.
All right, so Bob ran a magazine of the Golden Tiger through it. I was happy to see that we didn't have any failures to feed or fire or eject. I'm going to try a magazine of Wolf. Click. So this is what we experienced. Now you can see that that is a pretty deep depression, but we had a failure to fire. It's kind of weird because it cratered the whole thing. The whole primer has been depressed, and it still has a significant primer dent, but there's not, obviously, yeah, the bullet part's still there. This part is still there, and it didn't go bang. So just to see if it's a dud, we're gonna stick it back in the firearm and pull the trigger again. My experience has been that that is not necessarily a dud, but obviously it didn't go bang. All right, so we're just gonna drop that one round with the dented primer that failed to fire last time. Just gonna drop that into the chamber, and we're going to insert our magazine, and I bet that we just keep going here. And that one fires. Click.
What's going on there?
I bet you we see the same thing. And once again, we have the exact same scenario where I have a dented primer, has a very pronounced primer strike. It's not a light strike. It's still an odd strike in that the whole primer has a big shallow dent and then a deep dent where the primer hit, or the firing pin hit. Once again, we're going to see if that was a dud, or that time it didn't go. Let's try it again. Took 2 restrikes for that one. Click. Click. All right, just to make sure it's not the ammunition. So this is the Wolf Military Classic.
Right.
And we're going to unload this from the Mini 30 magazine. And we're going to load it up into that AK mag. And we're going to see if they all fire without a glitch. So, and why are we doing this? Because I think a big appeal to a lot of people of the Mini 30 is the ammunition, the availability of cheap ammunition.
Absolutely.
And if it doesn't work with the cheap ammunition, and they're going to pay $809 MSRP for this rifle, they need to know that.
I would be greatly disappointed.
Empty magazine, all of them fired. So this isn't going to be the best demonstration because we all know that accuracy is really ammunition dependent. And so this isn't necessarily the best test, but this is the Golden Tiger. We're going to shoot a 5-shot group at 50 yards and just get an idea of what we can expect with that ammo. All right, 5 rounds shot. Let's go take a look at the target. Here's what we have with this. We get a lot of vertical stringing here. This was my first shot. I was kind of surprised to see it hit so low, and it just kind of strung its way up as we shot. That's easily a 6-inch group. We're shooting at 50 yards. And this probably explains some of why the liberals like this. Because from the performance that I'm seeing out of this is kind of like Joe Biden's shotgun, except 1 pellet at a time to get a pattern like this. So that may explain the liberal love for the Mini 30 and Mini 14s. I just wanted to make a quick note, since we were talking about the Mini 30 and I just got done shooting, it was something that I wanted to discuss, and that's the trigger. The trigger on this is not by any means a match grade trigger, and it's kind of a poor field grade trigger. Anytime you can hear the trigger while you're working it, if you can hear it, that means it's gritty and bad. So come on really close and just listen to this trigger. Did you hear that grit? Let's do that again. So gritty. And one more time. This trigger is definitely going to benefit from just a little polish job, just to get the grit and the big grit out of it. Well, Bob, first shot's fired with the Mini 30 Ruger. What are your thoughts?
Well, I didn't pay for this rifle.
Okay, good.
I'm thankful for that.
Okay.
Bucket list number 132. Check off the page. Glad I got to finally shoot one.
Right.
I don't regret that I've never shot one until today. The biggest drawbacks, shooting cheap surplus ammunition, like the Wolf or the Tula and stuff. That's what I want to shoot for this. That's what I want to shoot reliably. If this had shot reliably, say 19 out of 20 rounds, I would have thought that this was a pretty nice firearm. The grittiness of the trigger, that can use a little bit of polishing. You can do that. A lot of Rugers, they take a little bit of finesse once you buy it and you take it home to make it a little bit better. Magazine cost, again, the Ruger, they take it to you by charging up to $40 for this nice glossy magazine that shouldn't cost more than $10. It looks cool. It reminds me of the A-Team. Grew up watching. Dun 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 dun. Sorry. Yeah. So flashback to childhood, which is kind of cool because they would run around and this was, what they had.
Right.
Anyway, less than impressed. At $630, you can buy an AK-47 that you're going to get to be able to feed cheap ammunition reliably and potentially get a group size that could be as good, if not better.
I've had a bunch of Mini 14s and my experience with the accuracy has been about the same. So even with good ammo, I've never had a Mini 14 that worked really well. And so that really brought me to the AR. and my ARs will outshoot any Mini 14 that I had all day long plus Sunday. So I guess I kind of knew going into this that I had a high chance of being not impressed with the accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm not super surprised with that. What I do want to do with this, here's the lucky thing. This rifle is lucky that I'm a Ruger fan and that I love problem children.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see this instead of great disappointment. I see this as an opportunity for success.
It's an obstacle to get you to the next level.
Right. So here's what I plan on doing with this. I am kind of disappointed, but I'm also excited with opportunity because I want to see if I can't fix the failure to fire problems. I have some ideas on how to make it more reliable with that. I can't do a darn thing about what Ruger charges for their magazines. It is what it is there. But I do like the appearance of this with the stainless and the synthetic. This is apple pie and Americana as far as I'm concerned. So I like the appearance of this. The trigger, obviously I'm not a fan of the trigger, but I see that as another opportunity too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this was rough and gritty, and I see that this might be a cool episode to work on the trigger, and then try doing some improvements to it to make it more reliable. Figure out what's going on with that funny primer strike that's going on, and then I have some 7.62 by 39 brass. I plan on maybe loading some up to some tight tolerances and see if we can't improve some groups out of this.
Yeah.
So, and also buy some commercial, some PPU and some other grades, some Winchester, some off-the-shelf factory expensive ammo, and see how this does.
Yeah.
So,
one of the exciting things about the Ruger Mini 14 and the Mini 30 is you can still find these at Walmart.
right.
They haven't been deemed evil. They don't have the barrel shroud that goes up. It doesn't have, the scary muzzle device or the pistol grip. But in functionality, this works almost identical to an AR-15.
You know, a lot of our brothers in arms behind enemy lines in Massachusetts, in New York or New Jersey or California, they're watching this video because this is their option on getting a new 7.62 by 39 modern sporting arm. And so that's why I'm going to continue this series, because they may be having the same problem with this. See if I can't find a way to tune some of that not reliable, inexpensive ammunition firing problems, get those out of the way. See if we can't get a little bit more accurate. It's a little problem child that I'm going to watch with you in the future and see if we can't dial some of these issues out. So, in summary, though, if I lived in a free state like Washington or Oregon or Idaho or one of these states where you could have the option of buying any 7.62 by 39 carbine, and you had $850, I think that's pretty close to the MSRP for this.
Mm-hmm.
I would, based on what I've seen with this, I would probably be looking elsewhere. I'd be looking at one of the AR/AK platforms. They're going to be in that price or less. There's the AK platform. There's a whole bunch of those. For that kind of money, I think you can find a more reliable firearm than we see right here.
And I concur on that.
Alrighty. Hey folks, you can't take back a bullet, and you never ever want to wish that you could. So make sure you follow the 4 basic safety rules whenever you're shooting.
Stay safe, shoot straight. We'll catch you on the firing line.
Thanks for watching.